Hey everyone, welcome to Chidi Soapbox once again. I am here to help international students and all students really thrive within college and beyond. This week, I am discussing the Fundamentals of Engineering exam, or the FE exam. It's a professional exam for engineers across different disciplines that allows you to be accredited by the board of whatever state you're going to practice in. You're allowed to take it anytime from your first year, but it's probably best to do it once you've covered all your classes. And so I'll be giving some background on the exam and things that you can use to help you prepare for it down to the day of and even beyond after you've taken it. So the Fundamentals of Engineering is an exam that is conducted by NCEES. It's broken down based on what discipline within engineering you are. So you could be in the mechanical or civil or electrical sections. It's computer-based now, but with taking the FE, you're covering subjects that you kind of took throughout your time in college. So within civil, I did geotechnical classes or transportation classes. And we have the more general ones, which are like the probability and statistics that everybody took in the beginning. So that kind of shows where it covers. It costs about $175 to register for, and you register with NCEES a few months in advance. They hold it several times a year, so you could kind of choose the best time for you. For me, when I graduated in May, I took it in June, and so I had about a month of just continuous nonstop studying for it. I know people sometimes take it during their time in school, and so your schedule might be different for that. I know professors have begun talking about it early on in my classes from about my second year, and they would bring in questions now and then, but really down when it comes down to it, it's a very optional thing. And so in my field for civil engineering, I knew that it's very much more preferred than in other fields where it doesn't count as much. And so the reasons for taking it, I would say in those job applications when you are just graduated, I feel like it does set you apart because in my field, I had job postings that would say having the EIT, which is the engineering training title, were preferred for the positions. Now, the engineering training title is what you get when you do finish the exam, you pass it, and you apply to the board of the states to be registered. It's not completely automatic because you still do have to register with the states. And so I feel like it does give you an advantage, set you apart, kind of shows that you're serious about it, and you want to be set out from the crowd of applicants for jobs, really. With passing it and gaining the EI title, of course, you have more backing behind your name. You're showing that you are an accredited engineer. And in addition to that, in my field, for example, going on to the PE title, which is a professional engineer title, that allows you to be able to fully stamp drawings, put your name down as the full checker of a set of plans. And that's really something, that's a level in the career progression that is a big jump. And so you need to have that EI before you get a PE. And so just getting this done now means that you can go on to that because it's more money at that level. It's you could be in a manager role at that point, and that's just a different ballpark. And so just getting to do this now will mean that you're already on course with getting that done and getting the PE down the line. I would say it also shows that you do understand most of these that you have gone through. I feel like we go through many classes and we might struggle through them, but they were quite a while ago, and showing that you have more current knowledge on this is a good sign for employers and getting into the market like that. So to get going on your journey towards your FE, first thing you need to do is visit the NCEES website. This shows you the different disciplines that they offer for the computer-based tests, and you can see the specifications for each one and what classes are covered in that. Next thing I would say is really just register and give yourself a deadline, because when you don't have that deadline, you're not really inclined to get studying and get working on that. So that holds you accountable to having an end date Once you register for it, you should find a really good review manual. And so NCEES themselves, they actually have a review book that they sell. It's got questions just for you to practice and practice and practice. So there are other ones that aren't directly from NCEES, but you would need one of these because I fell into a pitfall, which was I was studying the classes individually, like going back to the textbook and working them chapter by chapter when I didn't really need to do that because the questions aren't going to be as complicated as some of the ones that we've had before. This is because we just have a limited amount of time on the exam. They're going to expect us to answer these questions in 4 minutes. And so you won't have your really large, complicated problems that you've always had. They're going to be multiple choice. There's a range of difficulty between them. Having the review manual and the questions and practicing them also helps you to understand the common tricks that are used in setting the questions and the formats that they use. So you're more acquainted with them because it really is all about problem solving, not even about your broader knowledge, to be honest. So for the calculators that you're going to use, you'll want to get a calculator that you're going to use throughout your preparation and on the exam day itself. NCEES has a list of their allowed calculators, but overall they don't allow graphing calculators. They have specific models on there that they have put down as allowed. That includes common ones like the Texas Instruments TI 30X or 36X and some other brands that they listed there. So practicing with the same calculator all the way helps you to get really familiar with it and help you to work through questions with good speed when you do have to sit for the exam itself. It's very beneficial to create a study schedule from the beginning. This is where working with the specifications of the exam comes in. With this, you'll have to look at the total number of topics and kind of divide them down and see how much time you would need to focus on each one. Doing this ahead of time can help you because you don't want to spend too much time on one thing, get too in-depth. You want to be able to cover enough because it is a broad exam that covers many topics. And so spending too much time on one thing might not be too beneficial for you, especially since the questions aren't very, very in-depth all the time. And so going from the beginning, you can check through the manual and see how they break down the topics. I used my schedule, my diary to kind of assign certain topics to each day throughout the weeks for the entire month that I was studying. And understanding the range of time that you do have to study is essential too, because I studied nonstop for a month and I knew there was nothing else I was doing at that point. I didn't have school or work. If you're taking the exam at the point where you do have school or work going on, then a month might not be enough for you. Leading up to the exam itself, in the final week, you should be winding down your preparations. You could take one final test in the beginning of that final week and just use that as a gauge of where you need to plug some holes in your performance right now. I would say on the day before, take a complete break from any kind of studying. Just relax and make sure that you're able to sleep well the day before because it is a 6-hour exam, so that's no small feat. You want to make sure that you are sharp and you're able to perform well just by having enough rest. And so make sure your package is ready for things that you take along. So on the day of the exam itself, you will want to arrive at the exam center at least 30 minutes before. They have to check you in with your registration and everything. You usually have a locker where you can keep your belongings before going into the actual exam room. You will need to bring your ID and anything like a driver's license or a passport would work. Something like your registration from NCEES, you need to bring that along. And there's some bonus things that you would want to bring for yourself or things that you are allowed to bring. You're allowed to bring in tissues, you're allowed to bring eyeglasses, but without the case. You can bring in eye drops, you can bring in prescription medication or cough drops. You should bring maybe a small jacket, something that you can wear quickly just to adjust for the temperature in the room and have layers on. On the day, I would advise anyone to kind of skip coffee that day just so you stay calm and you don't have to go for unnecessary bathroom breaks. You can also have your backup calculator or backup batteries with you. This is just in case of anything that goes wrong. You can have your writing materials, and you can also bring um, paper, pens, anything. So that helps you to work through it easily and quickly. With the exam itself, you're expected to be working questions in a time rate of about 4 minutes for each one. And so with this, you'll find that there are ones that you can work through in less than 4 minutes, and there are ones that will take a bit longer. And so the best advice is just to go through them as quickly as you can. You can save time from the easier ones to work on the harder ones. You can recognize questions that just will take a bit more time. So save those for later on, get through the easy ones first, and you can come back to them. Overall, the exam is kind of split into two halves, and so you will have to do about the first 3 hours just on its own, which is kind of the more general stuff on the engineering side, and then you'll go on to the second half. Once again, within one half, you can go back and forth between the questions, but you can't go back and forth between one half and another half. And so make sure you're already completely done with one half, and then you can take a 25-minute break in between before going to the second half. It's generally administered to everybody at the same time to go out for the break at the end of that 3 hours. And so you'll know when that time is, but using a time wall can help you to get through it quickly and even go through questions. I remember I was able to go through them and come back around a second time just to look at ones that I was doubtful about and different things like that. So going through them, time is really of the essence, which is why you should have been doing full tests beforehand, just so you know that you're able to do this whole thing within this time. Remember, during the exam, you can make use of the formula sheets by using the Control F function. That helps you to find specific text within the document. You can jump to that quickly. That's a big advantage of having it on a computer. After the test, results are released about 7 to 10 days afterwards. That's when you can see your grades, and of course it's a pass-fail thing, so you just get notified if you pass. I believe if you fail, they may be giving you some insights into what exactly you did wrong. I'm not too sure about that. And so hopefully you don't have to go through that and you've passed it your first time. So now just trust in the work that you've done. You've done the studying and you sat for the exam. In this time, you might have things running through your mind. You're more likely to remember that one question that was really difficult and you just couldn't find the answer to, versus all the 50 other ones that you actually did right. And so don't worry about those ones too much, because that's a very small portion that you're actually running through your mind. And so just let go of that and trust in what you've done for the exam. Thank you for watching today. I hope this is helpful for anyone who's intending to take the FE. And I hope these tips help you to prepare and pass it on your first try. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any ideas about the FE or questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. Thank you for watching once again, and I'll see you next time.